Obviously,
Okay. Hi, everybody. It's Dale Walsh, the Poetic Warrior, just welcoming you to the latest episode of Straight, Sane, and Sober. And today we're glad to have Kerry.
I'm taking over, Dale. Sorry, the Warrior Queen is here. See you all in a minute. Good evening, everybody. And obviously, as you can see, the Warrior Queen has taken over Straight, Sane and Sober tonight. I'm going to put Dale Walsh under the spotlight.
Well, it's great. It's a pleasure to be here, Kerry. I didn't know you were going to take over my show.
Yep. Well, we did say there was going to be a twist. We just obviously didn't tell you what the twist was going to be.
Well, can I still read my poem to start the show?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, this is
I'll even give you the spotlight.
Oh, thank you very much. This is called A Zunette of Unquestioned Devotion. I'm not your shiny knight I'm not your shiny knight on white steed, because I come to you with love, not need. And you are a beauty beyond compare, naturally wise, joyful, and so fair. So I apologize if I become mad, sometimes being filled with deep desire, while my illness makes me angry and sad, for you are the only one who does me inspire to new heights of poetic art, and gives my soul its sense of pure amour that prevents me from ever being bored, since I adored you from the very start of our chance connection 2 years ago, when you taught me how to go with flow.
Wow, that was brilliant. Well done. Did you think of that all yourself?
Oh, yeah. I just write it in like 20 minutes.
Oh, wow. So what other poems have you been doing?
Well, I haven't been that productive poetically lately, but I don't know if you can see my file cabinet behind.
A little bit, yeah.
I have an archive of 4,500 poems, Kerry.
Wow.
I've been writing poetry since 1985.
Wow. Yeah, and I suppose a lot of those poems have been landing in your poetry book that's coming out.
Yeah, it's called Love's Invited Guests, and it's a collaborative effort by four poets who I'm going to have on the show next week, because next week on Tuesday is the release date, which also happens to be my birthday. So we're launching the book on my birthday.
Wow. No, well, that's when I was originally going to come on and take over for a birthday surprise as well, but obviously you wanted to do your book, so we're doing it this week.
Well, I'm all ready to be interviewed if you want to.
Yep. No, well, obviously you and me haven't spoken for a while, and we haven't been on live for a while. So I'm going to dive straight in. Who are telling us who is Dale?
Who is Dale Walsh?
Yep.
Well, Dale Walsh is the guy who thought he was God for 20 years. I had a very nice childhood in Abilene, Texas, and then my mother got divorced when I was 10, and I moved from Abilene, Texas to Midtown Manhattan in New York City, and that obviously changed my life. And then I went to boarding school or I guess you call it public school, for 4 years, and then I went to Dartmouth College, which is a very good college in the United States. And after my freshman year, I had a nervous breakdown, or actually, it was a psychotic break from reality. And I was put in the hospital for 13 weeks and diagnosed as schizophrenic. And after that, I came to a private psychiatric program for 5 years, and where I was subjected to intense therapy for a long time. and I kept going in and out of the hospital, but ultimately I got out and I got my own apartment, and then I went back to college. And 5 years later, I graduated from college, magna cum laude in English literature. And that started my career as an entrepreneur, because what happened was I, when I was getting near to graduation, a lot of students started like coming up to me and asking me to help them, write their term papers, or
Mm.
help them write their term papers. So I did that, and I became a private tutor, and I was making my own money, and it was great, And after I was still on disability, but and then I came up with the idea of becoming a coach for the families of those with schizophrenia, because I feel that, like, the families are, I call them the forgotten victims of mental illness, because the patients, if you want to call them that, I hate that word, but the
Yeah,
patients, have their teams, they have their doctors, they have their social workers, they have their psychologists, but a lot of times the families are just as lost and in need of help as the people who are diagnosed themselves. So
yeah.
I've been coaching families for about 3 years, and then about 8 months ago, I got an opportunity to continue my entrepreneurial career through this company called Virtuity, which with a V, Virtuity, and that's a financial literacy and education company. And we build awareness about money, and our motto is no family left behind, and we're really aiming to like appeal to reach the 99% of Americans who can't afford a financial advisor. So that's my latest endeavor.
Brilliant. Yeah. Wow. So that's your quick life story for you. So let's dive straight back into at the start. What was it like growing up in New York?
Well, actually, I grew up in Texas first, and that
Well,
I
when
was
you moved to New York, then
well. Let me talk about Texas first,
go on
because
then.
that was my first 10 years of my life, and that was like the most ideal childhood anyone could ever have. I had the only pool in my neighborhood. It was at the height of the baby boom, so I had like 15 peers within 3 blocks, and everybody would come over to my house during the summer, and we like play ping pong and trade baseball cards, and go in the pool. And my mother would like buy cases and cases of Coke and Dr. Pepper, and so everybody could have soda. And the one thing I remember especially is that for $1 on Saturday afternoon, everybody went to the movies for there was a triple feature. There was like a horror movie, a monster movie, and a adventure movie every weekend, and then you could get popcorn and a Coke all for $1. So,
I
you
was
know,
born in the wrong era. I want to go back to this.
but that's why I wanted to talk about Texas, because it was like a perfect childhood. And then I got like snatched out of Texas, and I got transplanted to New York City, and I went to a private school in New York City, and uh, New York City was a lot of fun too. I've always had fun, but New York City was like a much more competitive and like socially uptight situation than Texas had been.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, one of the things I want to do on my bucket list is go to New York at Christmas because I love the Christmas trees.
Oh, well, that Rockefeller Center, and I'm at New York during Christmas is magical. So if you do, just let me know, and I'll come into New York City and show you around so far as I can.
Oh yeah, I'd love that.
Because,
Definitely going to do it before I die is go to New York and see the Christmas trees at Christmas.
well, and the stores are like all decked out and everything. The stores are amazing, and
Yeah.
it's a pretty amazing experience. I guess one of the Home Alone movies had that kid going to FAO Schwartz, I-
Yeah.
and but FAO Schwartz doesn't exist anymore. But I remember when I was growing up, every Christmas I would go down to FAO Schwartz, and they would have like massive model railroad tracks and everything, and it was like a magical store.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is one of the things that made me want to go to New York at Christmas on my bucket list, because I've seen it obviously in Home Alone 2 and it just looks absolutely amazing. And I know for a fact it would be a once in a lifetime thing.
Right.
It would be. It would be
Well,
truly magical.
well, let me know, and I'll be your tour guide.
Yeah, brilliant. Anyway, back to you. So obviously after New York, you went to boarding school. So is that one of these where you go and live in the school, like a Hogwarts
Absolutely,
thing?
yes. Absolutely. It was a 4-year school. It was like a very intensive competitive atmosphere, but I had a great time. For the first 2 years, I was the shortest kid in the school. I was the smallest kid in the school of like 1,000 people. And people from all over the world came to this school. And so uh, I also they also had a program called School Year Abroad, which for junior year for 11th grade year, I went to France and lived with a French family for a year, and then we had a
Wow.
Franco-American school. It was in Rennes, France, which is the capital city of Brittany, and so I went to school and had like American and French teachers, and it was very eye-opening experience. But Exeter itself was like, you know, as I said, I always have fun. I mean, even throughout my mental illness, I've always managed to like be positive and have fun most of the time. I mean, obviously there were some very down moments and some
Yeah.
very like trying moments, but uh, so actually, out of my entering freshman class of 109 people, after 4 years, only 52 graduated.
Wow. So tell us more about, obviously when you was in the boarding school, there was 1,000 of you. So was it all boys or was it mixed?
It's interesting you should say that because we went co-educational my 10th grade year. So I was like the last freshman class that had no girls. And then
Wow.
and then and so well, it wasn't all boarding students. There were like probably about 100 like day students, from the surrounding area. But so we went co-ed in my 10th grade year, and there were only like 40 girls at the beginning, and now 50 years later, there are more girls than boys in my school.
The girls have taken over.
They have. But
Oh God.
the girls are taking over everything at this point, so I'm just like welcoming it.
Yeah, well, females are taking over now. I mean, they do say that in the next, say, 50 years, there are going to be more females around, and there's going to be less males, and the females are going to be more powerful. We don't know what the future holds. We just
Well,
think everything needs to be equal.
right. Well, one thing that I learned from my financial company is within the next like 15 to 20 years, the women are going to have like control of $39 trillion.
Throw a trillion this way, then.
So, yeah, throw a few bucks my way, right?
Yeah, throw somebody this way, then.
But that's because as the baby boomers get older, women live longer than men. So a lot of these women that are my age, I'm a baby boomer. So but they're going to like survive their husband. So their economic power is just going to be unbelievable. And
Yeah.
through economic power, that's where the real power comes from. So.
Well, they do say in a relationship, the real power isn't the man; it's actually the female, because what is it? The men are the head of the family, but the women are the neck that turns it.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, but well, they used to say behind every great man there's a great woman, but I think that thinking has been changing, and more you're hearing behind every great woman there's a great man, you know. So, but as you say, you know, the equality in the relationship is like really the thing that determines the success of the relationship.
Yeah, yeah. But even then, you know, I mean, obviously, me and Adam think we're soulmates, and we think we're the yin and yang of each other in the Chinese thing. And even as soulmates, we do still disagree on things. We do still argue about things. We do still get on each other's nerves. But I think that's just normal.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, back to you. So, obviously, when you got diagnosed with schizophrenia, what was your lowest point after that?
Well,
That's if you don't mind sharing it with us.
no, well, I think as I said, I've been dealing with this for 47 years, but I think the real lowest point was uh, after 9 years of being diagnosed. Uh, you know, and let me try to explain this. This is sort of hard to explain, but basically, uh, one of the things that used to drive me nuts is I had five personalities I felt, and everybody always like made me be Dale. So basically, what happened? My lowest point was I in September of 1974. I was crossing the bridge, and Dale conceived the world as the never-ending saga of duck versus muck. You know, I was the ducks, and the mucks were like the enemy, and and basically the ducks were the people created in the image of Dale. So I had like I was going to school, and my campus was like my army of ducks. And we were like fighting the mucks. And so one morning in September, I felt there was like a offensive by muck against campus. So I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was crossing the river, and halfway across the river, I had like a series of flashes whereby, well, I can't really remember like the first four images, and this fifth image was like of my crazy Irish superintendent bursting in on the people across the old couple across the hall with an M16. And then I just like saw this implosion of the earth in a thermonuclear holocaust. So basically, that's what I called the death of Dale. And the death of Dale was like the hardest thing I ever had to deal with, because it was, and that's where I became Dewey ultimately. My whole personality system was replaced by another personality, and so uh, Dewey was, mourning for Dale was like the hardest thing I ever did. I was saying, I would tell people, mourning for yourself is the hardest thing you can do. But the person and personality and the person that I was is Dale, who I loved, but also, and everybody else loved him, but he was gone. And that was like probably the hardest thing. I fell into despair. It was beyond suicidal. It was just like this great pit of darkness, that surrounded me, and that lasted only about probably 2 weeks, but it was like the toughest 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and you know what? I can really connect with that because when I lost my nana 3 years ago, it was the worst. What I think about 3 weeks of my life and that's in that 3 weeks. Obviously, I did attempt suicide. Luckily, Adam stopped me and saved my life. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. So, yeah. So we talked about the lowest point. So, what's the highest point of your life up to now?
Well, that's a hard one because there have been so many highlights. But my doctor in the program said that I suffered from psychotic bliss, and he meant by that I was just too happy. I was like crazy happy, and it's like so. But I met I well, I haven't met her, but I connected with a lady on Instagram 2 years ago today, actually, today's our second anniversary, and meeting her has really like infused my life with a joy and a happiness that that's based in reality that I've never really felt before. So I would say like the highest point. I mean, uh, when I first got sick and I thought I was God, then that was a high point. I mean, I was just like so enthusiastic for life and everything. But I would say like especially the last 6 months with Rose, has been like the happiest time of my life.
Oh, well, happy anniversary, and hopefully you get to meet her soon.
I'm hoping to.
Yeah, go and meet her. All right.
Well,
Make it a plan that maybe at some point between now and the end of the year you go and meet her, and
well,
then take some
she
pictures.
she wants to come out to Hackensack actually, so I'm
Even better.
working on getting enough money to fly her out to Hackensack, but she also has her son and her mother to take care of. So, we
Yeah,
have to take care of them while she's gone. So it takes a lot of planning, but we're definitely going to get together soon.
yeah, and then hopefully you'll be happy for many years once you are together.
Yeah, well, that's the plan, Kerry.
Yep. Yep. And Adam's commented that he's proud of my growth in the last 8 months, but I'm not the only one that's been here for 8 months. You have as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I feel honored to have been on the ground floor of the Mental Health Warriors. I really, always be grateful to you and Adam for making me not only the first North American warrior, but also for giving me the show and just believing in me the way I believe in you.
Yeah. No, well, you're absolutely amazing warrior, and you're an amazing friend. And it's been absolutely brilliant to go through all the changes the Warriors have had over the last month or so. One point we were going to close the Warriors down, then we brought it back up, and then we had a change around. Some new people's come in.
Well,
It's been a crazy time for the Warriors, but we've stuck here.
Well, when you were about to close it down, I take credit. I take partial credit for keeping you going because I didn't want to see it gone. And I
Yeah,
said so to Adam, and I said, your motto is never quit and don't quit. Just
yeah,
you know, I know things are tough at the moment, and people were coming and going, but I like to think of myself as like the rock that sort of like stood by you during your times of need.
yeah. You know what? And having that conversation with you actually was one of the things that made me and Adam rethink. Right? Okay, Dale doesn't want to quit. We shouldn't quit. So let's just go again. Let's just carry on going. Bring the Warriors back, and we can't. Obviously, here we are right now. So yeah, half of that credit is you. So yeah. So yeah, you helped keep the Warriors alive and bring it into what it is now.
Well,
So what's been the best part of the last 8 months?
I've always considered myself a warrior, and and when I hooked up with you and Adam and the Warriors, it was like a natural progression in my life, and I just couldn't stand the idea of you like throwing in the towel because you've done such an incredible job, and the future is so I mean I think you got caught sort of like in the past and the present, and you forgot about the future, but the future is so bright for the mental health warriors, and you're doing necessary work, and you're going to college and getting your mental health certificates and everything, and
Yeah,
I just think that you have there's so much that we can contribute as the mental health warriors that hasn't been realized yet.
yeah. Behind the scenes, both me and Adam have been collecting our mental health qualifications. Um, Adam's now obviously level 3 mental health, and I'm currently doing my level 3. So hopefully in the next 2 or 3 months, I'll have my level 3, and then we can start building the Warriors up to where we want it to be, where we want to be able to go out doing live shows. So we'll still be doing the online stuff, but we're going to be moving it to face-to-face. We're going to get out there in the communities, doing some events. And that's one of the things that we did actually want to do, and we still want to do that. We want to take the Warriors out and about and get it out to more people and spread the message a bit more.
I'm a little unclear about the English gradations, but what exactly is a level 3?
It's basically a mental health level 3 is an A level, so it's a college level degree.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So basically, Adam can call himself a mental health therapist now, and I'm 3.5 units away from the same thing. So I've still got a lot of work to do with my college course.
So what's the process for a level 3? Is it like an A level? I remember I did I did 2 A levels after high school at Exeter, but I remember that for the A levels there were 3-hour exams. Is that what it is for the level?
No, there's no. Luckily, this level 3 course, it's one long assessment. So we work through each unit, and then there's a certain level of questions at the end of the unit. And obviously, we've got to pass we've got to get 100% on every single one of those units to pass the whole course.
Great.
So, yeah, I've already passed one unit, and it was very hard. And I'm halfway through number 2. It is very, very hard.
So is level 3, do you have a level 1 and 2 or what?
I've got a level 1 and a level 2, yeah.
Oh, okay. And is it level 3 the highest, or is there a level 4?
There is a level 4, but you have to be in a job and have your employer basically pay that for you and say that they want you to do that course. And I believe there's also a level 5 and a level 6, but I'm not 100% on that.
Wow. So you still have a ways to go.
Yeah. No, well, when it starts getting up to level 4 and 5 and 6, that's counsellor level. I don't know if I want to go ahead and be a mental health counsellor. I think I'm happy having the therapist, because as a mental health level 3, I can also go into Senko work, so working with children with special needs, and that's ideally where I want to go.
Right.
So a level 3 would open the door to that.
Cool.
So, level 3 opens the doors to a lot of different jobs, and that's just one of the ones that I want to go in. That's where I'm heading.
Well, that sounds great.
Yep. So what's been the highlight of being part of the Warriors?
I think this show actually, and just like I mean, not only have I think I've done a good job interviewing. People say I'm a very good interviewer, but just building the skills, and also just like having that feeling of, control and sanity, and saying, well, I can do this, and and getting in front of the camera. As part of my coaching business, I've been doing a lot of podcasts, and this show has just given me the opportunity to like really be myself and to be comfortable, in interviews, whether I'm doing the interview or whether someone else is doing the interview. But it's also like helped me focus on, when I do podcasts, on what I want to say and everything. So I'm just like very grateful to have been able to have the chance to have this show.
Yeah, and you know what? And I'll be one of those people. You are absolutely amazing at what you do. Every single week, we get good views on it. It's one that isn't going to go away anytime soon.
Cheers.
So where do you see you in the next 12 months, 5 years?
On the Riviera, drinking cranberries and club soda. I've been straight, sane, and sober for 14 years. So, but basically, well, I see myself basically in Hackensack, but as a financial success in my gratuity company and my financial planning company. I really feel that it's going to give me like the financial independence and the financial freedom that I've always sought, but I've never been able to attain. And 5 years, I don't think anybody can predict what's going to go down because the world is changing so
Yeah.
fast. But I say in 12 months, I see myself as married to Rose, with a house in Hackensack, and just crushing it on my financial planning company, and also crushing it on my coaching business.
Yeah. You know what? I'll give you something to look at in the next 5 years. Meeting me and Adam in New York.
Absolutely, for Christmas.
Yep.
So
Spending Christmas in New York with me and Adam.
a double date of you and Adam and me and Rose.
Brilliant. It's a date.
Yeah. We'll go out to a fancy dinner in New York City.
Yep.
And I'll be able to buy it. I'll be able to fund the whole thing because I'll be so successful with
Drinks on you then, Dale.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yep. Well, you know what? It's been absolutely amazing taking over. So what's on next week, Dale?
My published Poets Unlimited is the debut of it's the launch of our book called Love's Invited Guest, and it's going to be hopefully a big success. And we've been working on it for about 8 months together, and the four of us have really become like a family, and so I'm looking forward to having everybody on the show and just like chewing the fat and talking about the book.
Brilliant. Well, watch out for that, and watch out for me tomorrow. I'm back with an audience with a queen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've forgotten the name of my guest. I do apologise to my guest. I've forgotten the name. Oops. That's not very good of me, is it?
What?
I've forgotten the name of my guest. That's not very good of me, is it?
Oh, well, it's going two of the three other poets have been on my show before. One is Deborah Harrell, who's the mother whose son was a schizophrenic. She was like one of my early guests, and hers I think is still the most viewed episode. And then the other one is a Guyano Ganova, who was on about, I guess, probably a month and a half ago, and she's the one who actually recruited me into my financial planning company.
Brilliant. Well, we'll look forward to that. I'll be watching in the comments. Thank you, everybody, for watching. See you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.